I'm back after a 3-day weekend, which felt more like a 1-day weekend. I have returned on this Tuesday, second day of November 2021. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. It is General Election Day today. It's the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. It can't get any earlier than this, so if you haven't done so yet, you're running out of time to vote. Polls close at 8 o'clock tonight. If you stick it in the mail, the odds are it won't be postmarked today and your vote ain't going to count. You're going to have to use the drop boxes at the various places scattered all over north central Washington, or you can run them right by the auditor's offices themselves in Waterville and about a block and a half from where I'm sitting here in downtown Wenatchee. We'll have complete results, obviously, tomorrow on this program. Everybody's keeping a close eye, really, on the 3 contested races for the Wenatchee School Board. We'll have all those numbers for you tomorrow, maybe even tonight. Don't know yet. Haven't talked to the news crew. The only people in the building at this hour are Uriah and me. It is chilly out there. It's 36 degrees. Not long ago, it was 34 degrees. And coming up this weekend, that snow level going to get awfully close to the valley floor. We got 2 systems lined up. One's going to pay us a visit today. Then we catch a little bit of a break. And then the next system comes in Wednesday night into Thursday. And we're going to have an increasing chance of rain and some snow in the passes. Yeah. News, got that. Sports, we'll talk Seattle Kraken hockey. Edmonton got the better part of them last night. Their losing streak is, well, their winning streak is now a losing streak. Also, we'll talk hockey with Sean Zears. Eric had a chance to sit down and talk to Sean via Skype. He is the radio voice, the interim radio voice of the Wenatchee Wild, who just can't seem to get a W. We'll talk Wild hockey with Sean in the back half of the program and everything else you need to start your day on this election day. It is cold. It is 36 degrees and it feels even chillier than that. Let's start out with our tour around north central Washington. And now, oh, by the way, we've gone below the 10-hour mark of daylight. Sunrise 7:46 this morning, sunset 5:42. That's 9 hours and 56 minutes of daylight. We go off daylight saving time and back to standard time on Sunday. Well, 2 a.m. Sunday becomes 2 a.m. Sunday all over again as we continue to manipulate the clocks, even though few people much care to do that. Good morning to the Wenatchee Valley on a misty, kind of a cloudy, foggy morning, and it is cool. Camera 2. This time of the year, of course, because the sun's not even close to getting up, we don't have a lot of cameras to choose from, but that's the Badger Mountain camera. Looking back down over the Wenatchee Valley, you can see that low-level fog, kind of it's that horizontal line that you see right above the lights of the Wenatchee Valley. It'll burn off a little bit today. Not much, but it will burn off a little bit today. Partly sunny as far as the skies are concerned. Camera number 3. Ooh, okay. That's got to be the roof of the Cascadian looking back over towards East Wenatchee. You can see the mall. You can see Fred Meyer. You can see a little bit of the Senator George Seller Bridge, and you can see natural gas burning off from that building there in downtown Wenatchee. Most of the older buildings, of course, downtown, heat themselves with natural gas. Camera number 4. Okay, I'm going to assume that is actually out of focus, or I'm really tired. That's Cougar Ridge, of course, but yeah, it's Cougar Ridge, and no, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. It is a little on the fuzzy side. Then again, so am I. I didn't shave this morning. Good morning to our friends in the old station area and the Odobashian Bridge and the intersection there at the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Okay. We are, okay, I'm still warming up here. I think I need another Red Bull. First things first, we have a slide to show for you, and this is about snow. The not traditional, but statistically speaking, when do we get our first snowfall? Measurable snowfall, and then up to an inch. We have this graphic for you. Look for Wenatchee. Traditionally, the snow, our first snowfall that actually comes down to 6 to the ground, 1/10 of an inch or less, is December 1st for the Wenatchee Valley. December 1st for the Wenatchee Valley, and at least an inch of snow or more traditionally on December 7th. Now, we are a ways away. We're a month away from either one of those events happening, but as I mentioned, towards the weekend, especially Sunday night and a Monday, that snow level is going to get awfully close to the valley floor with this system that's going to pay us a visit, the second of 2 systems. So when does the snow usually start for the Wenatchee Valley? A trace of snow on December 1st, an inch of snow on December 7th, roughly speaking. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, from the National Weather Service, here's what we're looking at. We're looking at kind of hazy, misty, partly cloudy skies today. 51, our forecast high. That's exactly normal. Yesterday, we got all the way down to 32. We hit the freezing mark. First time we've been down to 32 degrees in a long time. We only got to 47, as a matter of fact, for the afternoon high. So just a little bit warmer, but not much. Again, with the chance of some afternoon rain. 41 for the overnight low tonight, give or take a couple. We have about a 50% chance of rain overnight tonight. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, but quiet. Highs will be in the lower 50s again, about 53 or so. Next system comes in Wednesday night. We have a very good chance of rain Wednesday night and Thursday, but the snow level will be up there. Mountain passes are going to get some snow, not here in the Wenatchee Valley Wednesday night into Thursday. Whatever snow we get is going to be gone Johnson with a high of 55 on Thursday. Friday, mostly cloudy. Chance of some rain on Friday night, mainly before 11 o'clock. Not a big chance. But Friday night, the snow level is going to go all the way down to 3,200 feet, and it's going to go all the way down to 2,500 feet on Saturday morning. But the one we're really keeping a close eye on is Sunday night into Monday. We could wake up Monday with a little bit of light snow here in the Wenatchee Valley. The snow level is going to go all the way down to 1,900 feet, and we have about a 50-50 chance of something coming out of the sky Sunday night into Monday. We could very well wake up Monday morning with a little bit of light snow here in the Wenatchee Valley. Now, as far as the passes are concerned, they are going to get some snow over the weekend. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's take you up to the Cascades and see what's happening. Stevens Pass right now, traction tires are advised. The pass is open, as you might imagine. No real problems there. You're good to go. In fact, you're good to go now if you want to. Snoqualmie Pass, no advisories, no restrictions. The roadway is bare and wet with some slush in places. You're fine there. And on Blewett Pass, no advisories, no restrictions. The roadway is bare and wet. As far as the passes are concerned, they're going to be more rain than snow until we get to the weekend. Now, Stevens Pass could get 7 or 8 inches of snow. Blewett Pass is going to get about 5 inches of snow. And I-90 is going to get about 6 inches of snow on Sunday night, and on into Monday. So be ready for some winter driving conditions Saturday night, Sunday, and especially Sunday night, with the best chance of precipitation and the snow level going all the way down to 1,900 feet. So winter driving conditions are coming for the mountain passes right now. You don't have any issues. It's 8 minutes after the hour. After a quick 1-minute break, we'll have your headlines on this Tuesday morning. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Kids are resilient. I just love their energy. They bounce back so quickly. I love the stories they tell. I love just their charisma, their character. I love to see that subtle smile that you pull out of a kid, you know, when you start talking with them about something they really like. I just love what I do, and I can't imagine I would be as happy doing anything else.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you're calling on 35 plus years of experience in the Wenatchee Valley. Spending extra time in your home, you may have discovered an unwanted aroma. Stinky feet, pets, who knows what. Call Dick's today about installing their Train Clean Effects electronic air cleaner or a Rheem Halo ultraviolet air purifier. Either way, the air quality in your home will be improved. Proudly servicing all of North Central Washington, call 884-6444 today.
9 minutes after the hour, 36 degrees in downtown Wenatchee, partly cloudy, highs in the lower 50s today. Light rain tonight, spun into Wednesday, next round of showers Wednesday night into Thursday, and then basically unsettled weather starting Thursday and lasting right through the weekend. We begin with this story. 2 teens have been arrested after a drive-by shooting on Saturday morning in Moses Lake, in which one of the intended victims fired back and injured a person in the suspect's car. Moses Lake police said about 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, a gold Cadillac passed the victim's car as he was leaving his residence. The victim later encountered the Cadillac stopped in the middle of the roadway in the 300 block of Earl Road. Now, a passenger in the rear of the Cadillac reportedly began firing shots, and police said the legally armed victim fired back with a handgun, hitting a person in the Cadillac. A short time later, a 15-year-old showed up at Samaritan Hospital in Moses Lake with a gunshot wound to his leg, but he was released before detectives could establish probable cause for an arrest. Well, after obtaining an arrest warrant, the city's tactical team raided a home in the 2200 block of Basin Street early on Sunday morning and arrested the 15-year-old and his 17-year-old brother on first-degree assault and drive-by shooting charges. They also reported seizing the gold Cadillac, which had bullet holes in one side. A Wenatchee man is charged with felony harassment and a firearms offense after allegedly threatening a couple who asked him to stop shooting a rifle into the Columbia River near Malaga. 34-year-old Efrain Ramirez Hurtado allegedly threatened the two people back on October 25th during a confrontation at the Yo-Yo Rock boat launch, and then pursued them in his vehicle at high speeds when they tried to drive away on Tarpiscan Road. Chelan County Sheriff's deputies who arrested Ramirez said he was also driving while intoxicated. He is free on a $25,000 bond, faces arraignment on November 8th. Traffic is expected to be delayed on South Lakeshore Drive in Lake Chelan both today and quite possibly tomorrow. The contractor on the Slide Ridge Culvert Replacement Project is going to be setting girders on the landslide-prone area just off of Lake Chelan. Chelan County Public Works says the dirt bypass road that's been used to get around the work area is going to be closed at times as the girders are unloaded. Delays of up to 20 minutes are anticipated. Sediment and debris flow have been a persistent problem on that section of South Lakeshore Drive, and the $3.2 million project is designed to direct those flows underneath the roadway. Across Washington, about 90% of public school employees are now fully vaccinated against COVID-19. But what about teachers and staff at your local school district? Our very own Jefferson Robbins took a look at some of the new numbers that were just issued by the state.
Employees of the Wenatchee School District have achieved an 87% rate of vaccination for COVID-19. That's according to new data released this weekend by Washington's Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. The Wenatchee School District employs 1,076 people, and 662 of them are classroom staff, teachers or aides having daily contact with school children. Of those classroom workers, 88%, or about 582, have been fully vaccinated against the pandemic disease. The remaining 12% have received a religious exemption and accommodation. Those accommodations may take many forms, including distancing, increased masking, daily COVID testing, and restrictions on the staffers' movements and locations. At Eastmont schools, 82% of all employees, including 82% of those in the classroom, have received full vaccination as of last week. There, 17% were granted a religious exemption. Statewide, the average vaccination rate is about 90% for classroom staff in all school districts.
What we are seeing is stunning because in every single county in the state of Washington, our educators exceeded the overall vaccinated population in that county, sometimes by twice as much. We have counties at 40 and 45% vaccinated, but their school employees vaccinated at 80, 85, 90% plus. We have said before, we were vaccinated, and we will say it again here, schools are quite frankly the safest place for kids to be.
No NCW district managed to clear that 90% bar, although Cascade School District, based in Leavenworth, achieved a 92% vaccination rate among its classroom educators. The school districts of Moses Lake and Ephrata were among 7 statewide that failed to report their employee vaccine status as required by the state. Jefferson Robbins, NCW Life.
Thank you, Jefferson. The extreme heat that we had back in June and July has claimed a popular Christmas season victim. The Exchange Club of Wenatchee, for the first time in more than 60 years, has canceled its popular Christmas tree sale at Morris Little League Park. Club President Ray Ruiz said the regular supplier of the trees down in Oregon informed them that because of damage to the heat, from the heat that it did to the trees, the club's order could not be filled this year. So they checked around with several other tree vendors, and the Exchange Club heard pretty much the same story, and they then canceled the sale. Ruiz says it's a big blow to the club's biggest fundraiser of the year. He said 100% of the $17,000 or so that they annually raise goes to to support a wide variety of youth organizations in the community. By the way, donations to help make up for that loss can be sent to the Exchange Club of Wenatchee, P.O. Box 1862 here in Wenatchee, 98807. That's too bad. That's where I used to get my tree every year. That's what's making headlines at 15 minutes after the hour. Grant will be here and the rest of the news crew tonight at 5, 6, and 10 with your latest news and with a preview of some of the stories we're working on. Here's Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, a little bit of rain in our Tuesday forecast, and then much wetter on Wednesday night and Thursday. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. And in sports, Eric Granstrom takes a look at tonight's World Series Game 6 and has the latest on the Kraken. That and all the day's news stories coming your way tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. Don't forget, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a news tip, you just want to drop us a note and say hi, you can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com. You can go to our Facebook page and use the Messenger app, or you can go to our homepage, ncwlife.com, and click on the Contact Us icon. Quick 1-minute break. When we come back, sports, including Kraken hockey and Wild hockey. Eric's conversation with Sean Zears will enter the back half of the program as well. We'll have that in its entirety. Plus the obscure holiday today in history, some celebrity birthdays, and everybody is entitled to Mike McNalty's opinion on this Election Day edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Badger Mountain Brewing is proud to announce the grand opening of our new kitchen. Come try out our new menu featuring fabulous steaks, prime rib, gourmet burgers, and seafood grilled up by experienced meat master, Chef Galen Goodman. To complement your mouth-watering meal, Badger Mountain Brewing features 14 in-house crafted beers, an alcohol-free root beer infused with 11 different herbs and spices, 3 different ciders, and a great wine selection. Don't miss out on the best meats and the best brews down at Badger Mountain Brewing.
Located at 1 Orondo Avenue across the tracks from the Pybus Market.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills. A chill is in the air and it's a perfect time for some old-fashioned comfort food like our amazing Eggs Benedict, chicken fried steak, French dips, soups made from scratch, or fruit pies fresh from the oven. The crowds might be gone, but we're still here for you folks. So bring an appetite and a friend to Blueberry Hills in Manson, where you pick, you sit, you eat, and you visit. Open Wednesday through Sunday from 8 to 3. wildaboutberries.com.
17 minutes after the hour, the 117th World Series back in action tonight. Game 6 in Houston at Minute Maid Park. Of course, Atlanta leads the best-of-7 series, 3-2. The Astros stayed alive with a big victory on Sunday, 9-5. The Braves will go with Max Fried. Houston will go with Louis Garcia. First pitch on Fox at 5:09. The Seattle Kraken lost back-to-back games after falling to Edmonton last night, 5-2. The Oilers got on the board in the first period before Seattle found its skates. Jaden Schwartz and Carson Soucy lit the lamp for the Kraken, but it wasn't enough.
Yamamoto also looking to get going. Barry redirects it home off the boot of Leon Draisaitl. Softly up the boards for Jaden Schwartz, the longtime St. Louis Blue. Hits the line through Nurse. A backhander, he scores. Just what we were talking about. Schwartz needing to get on the board. He does. And this game is tied at 1. 90% on the penalty kill. It's a good matchup. Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, backdoor score. There is no match for this power play. Draisaitl's got a pair already, and Edmonton regains the lead at 2-1. McDavid briefly held, and there's the ball. Draisaitl to the net, and it's thrown in front. Keith scores his first as an Oiler. Duncan Keith makes it 3-1 on a delayed penalty. 1981 Oakland A's in the Major League Baseball playoffs might have started there. Lead pass right side Bastian. Crosses, shot Soucy, and he scores. And the Kraken have cut it to 3-2. Carson Soucy with his second goal in 6 games this year. It's short. Sharp angle. Tipped home by Kyle Turris. And the fourth line responds with a key goal to extend the lead. 4-2, Kyle Turris. It's turned over to Yamamoto. Ahead for Draisaitl. Yamamoto, he's in. He shoots and scores. He needed that one. He's got it. And Edmonton might have just sealed the deal.
And they did seal the deal. Seattle, by the way, returns home to Climate Pledge Arena on Thursday when they take on the Buffalo Sabres. The Wenatchee Wild still have not won a game in BCHL play this year. They lost to Salmon Arm and Trail over the weekend. The broadcasting voice of the Wild, Sean Zears, said Friday's 8-2 loss was a rare case of the Wenatchee just being physically dominated by the other team.
I talked to Chris Clark after the game, their coach, and he basically said, they were just being out-muscled. But at least the first period, one of the things that they could hang their hat on was they got a couple goals. It was 4-2 after the first period, and one of those goals was a shorthanded goal. And that's something that they can definitely hang their hat on, is that they are causing a lot of turnovers on both ends of the ice, and they're doing that. Unfortunately, they're not being able to capitalize on those chances. But again, Salmonarm, they have balanced scoring on all three lines. So anytime anybody goes out there, you have a chance they could probably score one way or another. So it was definitely not a pretty sight after that second period when they gave up another 3 goals, and it was just really difficult. But that in hockey, you just forget about the game and you go on to the next game.
Now, the Wild are next to last in the BCHL interior standings, which is going to be handled a little different this year, according to Sean, and how they're positioning teams because the schedule is not balanced.
Now, the whole reason for this was they had to reduce 4 games because of the travel that these teams, they didn't want teams just coming in for a game because, well, that's going to be really expensive if they were going to have to fly them in. So what they did is they grouped all the home games for the most part, and they lost 4 games. So everybody else is playing 54 games while Wenatchee's playing 50. And in order to make that fair for Wenatchee, they went ahead and said, we're going to keep the winning percentage and look at that instead of points to determine not only the seeding of the standings for the regular season, but for the playoffs as well.
Eric's entire conversation with Sean Zears, the interim broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild, will air in the back half of the program. By the way, for you Wild fans, they finally get to play games at home at the Town Toyota Center next Thursday and next Friday. The Seahawks, gearing up for the second half of the season, have a bye week following their 31-7 victory over Jacksonville. Coach Pete Carroll said it's nice to have a break, but this team could just as easily be 6-2.
I feel like we got to start right now. That's why we're starting a little early on the second half for us. With this game, hoping that we can kick into high gear. And we've been close enough. We've been on the topic, knowing that we have a lot of good things going for us. So we just got to make sure that we bring them together and finish some games off, and knock these wins in the boat. And so it was good to get that one yesterday. Really kind of with a clear marker that it's bye time and all of that, so we're kicking into high gear.
One area of improvement Coach Carroll would like to see is the running game. He says running back Alex Collins is doing the best that he can, but he'd really like to see the running game be a little more consistent.
I don't feel like we found the rhythm at all. I don't feel like we found it, and we've been spotty. Alex has done a nice job. I really think we watched Alex in the last 2 weeks making it through the game. He had a groin issue that I don't think he was at top speed in either one of the last 2 games. I think these 2 weeks are going to be really important for him. He was good enough to play, and as we saw him, I thought he looked, even though he had a good game a couple games ago, yardage-wise, I'm hoping that he'll pop back and be just a little bit more juiced up than he was in these last couple. I think he did. He sucked it up and played, and he's been the most effective part of it. I like what we're doing in a run game scheme-wise, but we have to find the consistency. And what really shows up to me is at the end of the game, we didn't run the ball well in the fourth quarter, and that's when you really want to hammer the football. When you're running the ball well, the fourth quarter is the time when you put games away, you eat up clock, and you kind of send the message that, that you got your act together. And I don't feel like we've done that yet.
So the Seahawks have the weekend off. Next up on the schedule, November 14th on the road at Green Bay. All right, let's talk high school. The schedule for playoffs, it's that time of the year again. Wenatchee will host Davis in girls soccer. It's a district playing game tonight. Leave-off field at the Apple Bowl. Kickoff in the loser-out game is at 6 o'clock. Moses Lake's playing game is in Yakima against Eisenhower. That's also at 6 o'clock. The District 6 1B volleyball tournament gets underway tonight at the higher seeds. So Moses Lake Christian will host Wilson Creek. Soap Lake will be at Pateras. Antioch will host Cascade Christian. Waterville Mansfield welcomes Easton. All of those matches start at 6 o'clock. The District 6 2B tournament is at Okanagan and Manson today. Up north, the Bulldogs will take on Oroville at 4:30, followed by Liberty Bell and Brewster at 6. The winners of those first 2 games will play at 8 o'clock. Manson hosts the other part of the tournament. It'll face Bridgeport at 4:30. That's followed by Tenascan and Lake Roosevelt at 6. The winners will play one another at 8 o'clock. The Wenatchee Panthers wrap up their football season Friday at home against Moses Lake. We'll have the game live here on the NCW Live channel. The Panthers celebrating senior night pregame with Eric Granstrom at 6:30. And on Saturday, we'll be at the Wenatchee High School Gymnasium for the District 6 4A Volleyball Championship between the Panthers and the Wildcats. Eric will be courtside, 11:45 pregame. They'll start serving it up at noon. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. Apparently, Uriah really wants to get some deviled eggs on television, so there we go. Today's obscure holiday, it's National Deviled Eggs Day. I love deviled eggs. I have my own deviled egg recipe. I fiddled around with it for a while until I found the perfect recipe. One of the things I discovered about making deviled eggs, I don't use the liquid mustard, the French mustard, the yellow that you squeeze out of a bottle. Doesn't do it. You want to use ground mustard, dry mustard, to really give it that certain tang to your deviled eggs. Deviled eggs, I mean, eggs are incredible versatile. People eat deviled eggs for dinner, just as dinner, or as an appetizer, or as dessert, side dish, main course, it doesn't matter, it's deviled eggs. I try not to do too many food-related holidays, but I do like deviled eggs. But I like my own deviled eggs. It's always my own. I don't know why, but nobody makes deviled eggs as good as I do. I know it sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm bragging. Happy National Deviled Eggs Day. Oh, it's also All Saints Day, but I looked and there is no patron saint for morning television personalities. Yet, anyway, happy National Deviled Eggs Day, 26 minutes after the hour. Today in history, a lot of elections. We'll be doing these now over the course of the week. This is the 101st anniversary of the general election of 1920, November 2nd, 1920. Republican Senator Warren G. Harding of Ohio defeats Democratic Governor James M. Cox of Ohio. That's right, Ohio against Ohio. And Harding is elected the 29th President of the United States. He had 404 electoral votes. Cox had 127. In Chelan County, 58.5% voted for Warren G. Harding. In Douglas County, 58% for Warren G. Harding. Harding is the last Republican to win all 39 counties in the state of Washington. No Republican has done that in the last 101 years. November 2nd, 1948, the upset of upsets, really, 73 years ago today. Historians still talk about this upset. Most people considered Harry Truman a lame duck. He wasn't going to win election in his own right after getting the office from FDR. He did. In one of the big upsets, the incumbent president of the United States, Harry S. Truman, upsets Republican Governor Thomas E. Dewey of New York. 303 electoral votes for Truman, 189 for Dewey. Strom Thurmond ran as a Dixiecrat, and he won most of the states in the Solid South. He won 39 electoral votes, but Harry Truman takes it all. In Chelan County, 50% for Truman, 48% for Dewey. In Douglas County, Harry Truman got 56% of the vote. Thomas Dewey got 42%. And by the way, Harry Truman campaigned in Wenatchee on his whistle stop tour a couple of weeks before the 1948 general election. To this day, he remains the last president to visit little old Wenatchee Town, USA. It's been 73 years since the president came by. Come over and see us. November 2nd, 1976, 45 years ago today, the governor of Georgia, Jimmy Carter, the Democratic nominee, defeats the incumbent president, Gerald Ford, is elected the 39th president of the United States. 297 electoral votes for Carter, 240 electoral votes for Ford. Ford won 27 states, including Washington State. That's the most states ever won by a losing candidate. There you go. In Chelan County, Ford had no problems. He had 56% of the vote to 41% for Jimmy Carter. In Douglas County, 53% for Ford, 44% for Jimmy Carter. And on November 2nd, 2004, 17 years ago today, the incumbent president of the United States, George W. Bush, defeated John Kerry of Massachusetts for re-election as president of the United States. 286 electoral votes for Bush, 251 electoral votes for John Kerry. George W. Bush is the most recent Republican president to win over 50% of the vote. Pretty interesting there. Non-election things to talk about. Happy birthday, North Dakota and South Dakota. North Dakota and South Dakota became the 39th and 40th states in the Union on November 2nd, 1889. Nobody knows who's first. They list North Dakota as the 39th and South Dakota as the 40th, simply because they just use the alphabet. But when President Benjamin Harrison actually signed the statehood papers to make it official, his aides shuffled the papers up and they took a big piece of cardboard and they covered up the very top of the paper, and Benjamin Harrison simply signed the bottom of the paper, so no state would actually know which one was 39th and which one was 40th. For these purposes, we'll go North Dakota. as the 39th president of as the 39th state of the Union. Almost 90% of North Dakota's land is farms and ranches. And North Dakota has 1.75 million cattle and about 762,000 people. So there are about more than 2 cows for every person in the state of North Dakota. And you will not find a Rite Aid or a Walgreens in North Dakota. State law requires that pharmacies be owned by pharmacists. Thought I'd throw that out there. Meanwhile, South Dakota. There's South Dakota, the Mount Rushmore state. Of the 10 largest cities in the state of South Dakota, only Rapid City is west of the Mississippi. All the other big cities, if there is some in South Dakota, are all east of the Missouri River. November 2nd, 1921, 101 years ago today. Happy birthday, radio. KDKA of Pittsburgh starts broadcasting as the first commercial radio station in this country's history. What did they lead off with? Election results. Radio, commercial radio, was 101 years old today. And finally, November 2nd, 2016. One of the great World Series ever between the Indians and the Cubs. It was a great World Series. Every game was fantastic. And the 7th and deciding game in Cleveland was an all-time classic. After 108 years, the Cubs are the champions of baseball. Here it was.
Both teams trying to snap long droughts. The Indians, a 68-year drought since their last title, the longest such drought in the American League, and the Cubs, well, you know, it's been 108 years since their last title. 2 down. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it and throw to Rizzo. It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. The Cubs come pouring out of the dugout, jumping up and down like a bunch of delirious 10-year-olds. The Cubs have done it. The longest drought in the history of American sports is over, and the celebration begins.
It was a great World Series if you're a baseball fan. I mean, the Indians hadn't won the World Championship since 1948. They still haven't won it. It's been 73 years since the Tribe won it all, but the Cubs took the top prize 5 years ago today. Let's do birthdays. A couple of presidents. James K. Polk, the 11th President of the United States, the only Speaker of the House to ever become President of the United States. He was a compromise nominee by the Democrats in 1844. It turns out it was a good compromise. Most historians believe that James K. Polk was probably the best one-term president in this country's history. He worked 12 hours a day side by side with his wife. He was a workaholic. He had no discernible sense of humor. And he died only 3 months after leaving the presidency. A lot of people think he simply worked himself to death. James Polk, the 11th President of the United States, born in the state in 1795. And Warren Harding, the 29th President of the United States, born in the state in 1865. He won controlling interest in the local newspaper in Marion, Ohio, the Marion Star. He won the ownership of the newspaper in a poker game, and then it turned into a huge success because he insisted that at least once a year, every man, woman, and child in Marion, Ohio would have their name in the newspaper. Smart move there. When he died, under mysterious circumstances, he was extremely popular. It wasn't until long after Warren G. Harding was dead that all the scandals began to afflict his presidency. He had numerous extramarital affairs while he was in the Senate and as the presidency. And finally, this famous quote from Warren G. Harding, "I am not fit for this office and should have never been here." Going to take a break. Mad Dog McNaughty has an opinion, and then Eric Granstrom had a chance to sit down via Skype to talk with Sean Zears, the radio broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. We'll have that for you when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Since 1932, Camp Seneca, nestled on the beautiful shores of Lake Wenatchee, has provided children grades 1 through 12 with the ideal location for kids to learn new skills, have fun, and make friends while creating memories that will last a lifetime. Camp Seneca's rustic log cabins and their staff serve to provide each group a unique summer camp experience. Register for Camp Seneca today, www.campfirencw.org.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, reminding you that changing seasons can mean changing road conditions. Introducing the brand new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything. Seriously, anything. Now save up to $130 when you buy Quadtrac tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, in my line of work, I deal with a number of folks with substance abuse issues. Some of them do well for a while, and some of them not so well, and all of them struggle. And I'm always recommending to those folks to get involved in meetings. Get involved in a 12-step program. Get a sponsor and get connected with the local Make Recovery the Epidemic group. Now, unfortunately, most of these folks tell me, well, that doesn't work for me. And then I ask them, well, is what you're doing does? Sure, there are a lot of folks, very few I'd imagine, who can kick substance abuse on their own. But the best chance for reaching and maintaining recovery is involvement with others in the 12-step program. This is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and that's my opinion.
The Clearwater Saloon and Casino is the perfect place to meet in East Wenatchee. The Old West theme takes you back in time with casino gambling and poker tables. And now you can play the best games on or off the tables. Stop by and check out the new game room. All your favorite games and extended late night hours makes the Clearwater your best bet for a great time. And if time slips away having so much fun, stay the night next door at the Cedars Inn. It's all here nightly at the Clearwater Saloon and Casino in East Wenatchee.
For plumbing, heating, or cooling repair, Patriot will be right there.
Of all the things you'll try to clear your mind, like yoga with a goat, why not start with the most basic, a comfortable environment to breathe in? Maybe it's time to rethink your air.
Patriot Plumbing, heating and cooling will give your home a hug.
A Tuesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley continues. I'm Eric Granstrom, and we've got Sean Zears, the voice of the Wenatchee Wild, joining us here via Skype. You know, I know you're back east. I don't know specifically where you are, Sean. Where are you?
I am in, it's called Rankin, Illinois. It's like a town of 500 people, but it's the closest big city is Champaign-Urbana, home of the University of Illinois. So I'm there near Kankakee, which is almost like a suburb of Chicago. We're not too far from there either. Kind of like in the heartland of Illinois, if you want to call it. So I'm only like 20 minutes away from Indiana. So
Okay.
I'm almost next to another time zone, actually,
Okay.
which is even more weird.
All right. Has it turned kind of winter, flipping a switch? It certainly seems like that here.
Yeah, it's doing it here. It's cold, and it's supposed to be cold all week. At least they took the snow out of the forecast, so we don't have to worry about that now, at least.
Well, I know we'd love to warm up our Wenatchee Wild a little bit, struggling to get on the win side of the ledger here in the early going, falling a couple of games over the weekend on Friday in Salmon Arm and in Trail on Saturday. So let's talk about, first of all, I was actually doing a high school football broadcast on Friday, and I got on my phone. I said, hey, let's get a Wenatchee Wild score, and it was like early second period, and they were down, what was it, 8-0 at that point or something like that, and they ended up falling 8-2. What the heck happened?
Yeah, they ran into a buzzsaw in Salmon Arm. They had a lot of kids who had played last year for Salmon Arm, and they had a veteran team. And they're also bigger. And unfortunately, that size just overtook everything. I talked to Chris Clark after the game, the coach, and he basically said, they were just being out-muscled. But at least the first period, one of the things that they could hang their hat on was they got a couple goals. It was 4-2 after the first period, and one of those goals was a shorthanded goal. And that's something that they can definitely hang their hat on, is that they are causing a lot of turnovers on both ends of the ice, and they're doing that. Unfortunately, they're not being able to capitalize on those chances. But again, Salmonarm, they have balanced scoring on all three lines. So anytime anybody goes out there, you have a chance they could probably score one way or another. So it was definitely not a pretty sight after that second period when they gave up another 3 goals, and it was just really difficult. But that in hockey, you just forget about the game and you go on to the next game.
Well, that shorthanded goal, I think, was their first shorthander of the season so far. Quinn Emerson and Houston Blue get in the scoring column. Emerson, in fact, a couple of goals, his first 2 goals of the season coming up over the weekend. They hope for better ice on Saturday in Trail. Not so much. It was a little closer, 4-1 the final. But again, just not able to get over the hump.
No, that's so true. And again, they're creating chances, and unfortunately, it's just the way the puck bounces. Now, you talked about Quinn and scoring, and he had a shorthanded goal too. In Trail, those boards are lively. I mean, that puck hits the board, it can go any direction. And it even fooled the Trail goalie because he was going out to play the puck, and he overskated it because the puck went a whole different direction when it hit the boards, and Quinn Emerson was just right there, right in the middle of the slot, and just putting it into an empty net. Now, that was the only goal that they scored. They also have been facing really good goaltending as well. And I think, the record reflects, yes, they haven't won a game, but we keep saying this, that 3 of those games that went into overtime, actually, the 4 that went into overtime, they easily could have won. They easily could have won either way, and we'd be talking about a whole different situation here. But they just are about on the cusp of gelling, and they brought in a few new people, and that's the other thing too. They had another new defenseman, they had another new forward, and then they brought a goalie in, and they've all played in the juniors in the United States. So they're right on the same level. It's just, unfortunately, they're just not getting the right bounces at the right time. And once those start happening, then better things are going to come about.
Well, and that's the thing to point out, too. You mentioned the fact that this team's still trying to gel, a bunch of new guys coming together this year. Wild didn't play hockey last season because of COVID, and the guys north of the border got to play a little bit anyway. So for a lot of these guys, I know they played a game earlier this season against Trail, but you mentioned the boards and just getting to know these rinks. I mean, that's part of this process, too, right, as far as these new guys north of the border. Hey, you got to learn new sheets of ice just about every Friday and Saturday.
Absolutely. When you go on an 8-game road trip, it's going to bring together the team. So the team together itself is bonding. That's for sure happening. It's just a new experience for everybody for the most part, because a lot of these guys didn't, like you said, didn't play last year. A lot of these guys have never played junior hockey before. So it's Chris's job, obviously, to blend everybody together, the veterans, like your Emersons and your Hudson Blues, and your Cade Littlers, those kind of guys, to get gelled with the new guys. And it's you're definitely right, different experience. I think they're ready to be home, to be quite honest. I mean, when you play every game on the road, when you start the season off, yeah, it throws your routine off for a little bit. And now when you get to play at home, well, you get to go sleep in your own bed. You get a little bit more, you get to see more people. And I think they're ready for that, honestly. I think you're going to see a whole different team come out there when when you're playing the home team as a home team. Now, in the showcase, they did get one home game technically. So they got to have the last line change, and they got to be on the other, closer to the bench for line changes and things like that. But really, honestly, other than that, you're still on the road. You're still in Canada. You're still spending the night in a hotel. So I think these guys are excited and ready to go.
Well, Sean, talking with Sean Zears here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, voice of the Wenatchee Wild. Sean, with that, are there further restrictions than if they were here in Washington, being north of the border with all the craziness with COVID and things like that? We hear about that with the NBA and what's happening with as far as the NHL is concerned. What are the teams facing? What are the individuals facing when they go to a hotel? I mean, are they locked in the hotel? They go to the ice, they go back to the hotel, and that's it?
You know, I'm going to have to ask Chris that because I've not asked Chris that question. That is a great question to ask him. We always meet up right during the middle of the week. And I can only imagine because they're still not allowing full crowds in the games in Canada. In fact, Trail, they have a slide that comes up that says that they're only selling tickets to half the arena. And I'm guessing that British Columbia, it's the same thing everywhere where the attendance is really going to be low and you don't have a lot of people going to the games because they can only sell tickets at half capacity. So I'm guessing that, yeah, it's probably different if they're still having those kind of restrictions to go to a hockey game. I can only imagine what's like trying to maybe work out at a hotel or do something anywhere at this point north of the border. And luckily, you know, the Wild don't have to have that contingency plan of having to go and fly a team into Seattle and go bust them and then bring them back and then have to travel across the border and take the team and have another bus come and pick them up. At least that is going to be, it's done before their first home game on the 11th. But, you know, it's a whole different world. And I'm sure the restrictions are so different.
Let's talk about finally coming home. They've got a couple of games left on the road here before they can do so at Vernon coming up this Friday and Saturday. Then finally they get to come home against West Kelowna on the 11th and 12th. The standings are kind of weird, and that kind of goes to the whole COVID thing and the reduction of the season, at least for Wenatchee, only 50 games this year. Sean, talk about that because you look at the standings on the BCHL website and it shows you that the first place team actually has less points than the second and third place teams. Salmon Arms out in front, then Penticton, then Prince George. But they're looking at your win percentage this year, not the points, right?
That is correct. Now, the whole reason for this was they had to reduce 4 games because of the travel that these teams, they didn't want teams just coming in for a game because, well, that's going to be really expensive if they were going to have to fly them in. So what they did is they grouped all the home games for the most part, and they lost 4 games. So everybody else is playing 54 games while Wenatchee's playing 50. And in order to make that fair for Wenatchee, they went ahead and said, we're going to keep the winning percentage and look at that instead of points to determine not only the seeding of the standings for the regular season, but for the playoffs as well. And that's the fairest thing to do, especially when a team only has 50 games. And of course, it's an unbalanced schedule because now they're not playing as many. You may not see these certain teams again that they originally were going to play. And I have to look at the schedule and see who exactly they lost. But I know for a fact that there could be some teams that, well, they're only going to play them once. It's because they're going up there and the other team's not coming to the United States. It's been done before. In fact, the high level of the AHL and the American Hockey League, all the West Coast teams play less games. So in order to keep that fair, they have to go ahead and do it by winning percentage rather than points. It's just the way it works. And unfortunately for Wenatchee, you know, if they have a bad game, well, now everybody else could have a good game and they have 4 more games to play. So their sample size is a little less, I guess is what I'm saying. So you kind of have to, you know, do a little bit better. And not saying that they're bad by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, you just got to be better here down the road because those games start dropping a little bit more. And then it becomes, well, we can't really make anything up because there's no making up games. And that's just how it works. And right now, they've only played 6 games. Everybody else has had at least 7, 8, 9. So, I mean, there's still a lot of games to play for Wenatchee.
Yeah, and the interesting part of that, too, is their record is 0-3-2-1 in those 6 games, but their winning percentage is .250 because, well, they've only lost 3 of those 6 games. So it's interesting how those things stack up.
It does. And it's also good that for playoff purposes, there are 18 teams and 16 teams go to the playoffs. So 1 would play 8, 2 will play 7. That's how it's always going to be. So, I mean, with Wenatchee, at least, you know, they're not in last place. There is, but they're only one of two teams, unfortunately, that have not won a game in regulation. The other team is right behind them, and that's Merritt. They're I believe 0-6-0 or 0-7-0, and they're just struggling as well. So once Wenatchee gets that first win, and mind you, Chris Clark has not won a game as the official head coach yet. Even though he won a bunch of games as an interim head coach, he has still not won his first game as a head coach of the Wenatchee Wild. So when that happens, one, he'll get that. Two, the team will start feeling a little bit better. Which, again, it's a long season. It's not a marathon. It's a sprint. All right, sorry. Let me correct that. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's for them. They have 10 games in the month of November, so there's a lot of hockey to be played, and a majority of those are at home too. At least half are at home, so that's good.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to the ice for the Wild coming here to the Town Toyota Center. Now, a question I'm going to pose your way, probably not a fair question for me to ask, but you're our representative for the Wenatchee Wild. I have heard that because of restrictions, going back to COVID here, that in order to attend a game at the Town Toyota Center here home on the Wenatchee ice, that you have to show proof of vaccination in order to do so. And they've had a bunch of tickets that have been turned back saying, not going to do that and not going to do that. Have you heard that, or is that a fair question for you maybe to ask Clarkey when you talk to him this week?
Oh, I'll definitely ask Clarkey that question because I've not heard that. Now, I will say that here in the state of Illinois, depending on where you go, yes, you have to have proof of vaccination to get into the arena. Also, well, there's already a mask mandate in the state of Illinois anyway. So the hockey team that I've followed for many years, the Peoria Rivermen, just a side note, my dad actually named that team. That's why I follow the team. But they're in a lower level professional league, and they have a mask mandate. They have to follow it. It's indoors, so you have to follow it. And they kind of came out with that. And there are a lot of people that just said, nope, you know what? We're not going to go. And they had a decent opening night. But the following night, when they had another game, there on a Saturday night, they had 1,500 people. And there's no restrictions to get in there. So this is definitely something that has been affecting not only minor league hockey, but hockey in general, depending on where you're at. Obviously, the states that don't have any of the mask mandates at all, wide open, you get big attendance, big crowds. But sure, like I had mentioned earlier in trail, you have to wear a mask in the arena as well, along with having half of the reduction of the attendance. So but like I said, I've not heard that. That's something I'll definitely ask Chris when I talk to him this Wednesday. And, it's just one of those things. I think if there's mask mandates, depending on the state of Washington, which I'm not really familiar with, but if there are indoors and they have to follow that, then you have to follow it. I mean, you can definitely tell that if somebody's not wearing a mask when there's a mask mandate at an arena, there's going to be cameras, there's going to be social media, there's going to be all of that. It's going to be difficult not to pass that along.
Yeah, well, and it's one step further than a mask mandate. It's a show your proof of vaccination mandate as far as the local ice is concerned. I'll go back to X's and O's here. I'm looking at the season stats, and so far the Wild through 6 games are 1 for 20 on the power play. Now, Wild hockey is getting fast and getting shots, and they've certainly gotten their shots. 194 to 167 on goals so far in those 6 games. So they're dumping the puck towards the right spot. It's just not hitting the back of the net. So how do you think they can turn that around?
Oh, the power play? Definitely. It's just going to have to be a little bit more creative when it comes to that. And again, you see that a lot where you get 1 or 2 teams in a league where they just click right away with the power play and they go like gangbusters. Then you have other teams that struggle, like Wenatchee has done on the power play, but they change things up a little bit. Maybe they possibly move around a little bit more, or maybe they interchange your pieces with the power play, which Chris had done. He had put different people on the power play. But again, all about the bounces, all about how things go. I mean, in order to score, you have to create chances and you have to make it work. And if you're not able to set up, and you're spending half the time in the neutral zone, or you're back in your own zone, and they're not just, you're not getting it set up properly like the way you're supposed to. Well, you're not going to score at all. And for Wenatchee, they have looked really good on the power play. It's just that, unfortunately, they just haven't had that good bounce go in, a tip in, or something that's, there was a couple chances in the game against Salmon Arm where there was an open net. I mean, unfortunately, they just couldn't get the puck in. That's sometimes how it works. But I feel like once they got that first goal, which they did, they're just going to start getting better and getting better. And again, practicing on home ice is great. Playing on home ice is another thing. And I think you're going to see that the guys are going to feel comfortable when they're playing at home, and it feels better. And again, when you're practicing on the road as well, you may not be able to have that area where you're practicing, you're playing at the rink, but you might be practicing at another rink too. It's all different. I really do think, though, that their penalty kill, for the most part, had been really good. And then, of course, with Salmon Arm and with Trail, they gave up 4 goals between the 2 games. Their penalty kill had been really good, and I still feel it's really good. That's the other thing that Chris has been harping on these guys the whole entire year. Quit taking penalties. And when you're shorthanded 6, 7, 8 times a game, you're giving an opportunity for some really good teams to score, and it puts you behind automatically when you're starting to do that.
Well, the Wild will be at Vernon this Friday, Saturday, and then finally come home next week on Thursday and Friday, the 11th and 12th of November. Sean Zears is the voice of the Wenatchee Wild. You can hear him locally on 560 KPQ or 1340 The Hawk, depending on their schedule at home. But be sure and tune in for Wenatchee Wild games with Sean Zears. Sean, thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you very much. Very nice meeting you, and go Wild.
You betcha. We'll be back with more on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley right after this.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether, we provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
And you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
Counterplay inside, picking his way back to the 10, to the 5, into the...
High school sports is back, and NCW Life Channel's got you covered. Tune in for football, girls soccer, and volleyball right here. A huge thank you to our sponsors, Les Schwab Tires, One Way Construction, and Save Mart. Follow all the action of high school sports on your local TV station, the NCW Life Channel.
14, they come back.
Opioids are now one of the leading causes of injury-related deaths in Washington state. More people die from overdose than from car crashes. Between 2012 and 2016, more than 3,300 lives in Washington were lost to opioid overdose. We are all part of the solution. Your choices matter. If you are prescribed an opioid pain medication, talk with your doctor about other options, and don't share your prescriptions with other people. It starts with you. Learn more at getthefaxrx.com.
Well, we got as chilly as 34 degrees right before the show went on the air. We haven't really warmed up much. It's only 36 degrees. The sun and the clouds going to have a little tug of war. I think the sun's going to win at least for most of the day, and then things are going to get a little unsettled from the National Weather Service. One more look at your forecast. Again, partly cloudy, partly sunny, depending on whether you're an optimist or a pessimist. We'll get up to about 51. Didn't get very warm at all yesterday. Only 47 was all we got to on Monday, so a little bit warmer, but not much. 41 for the overnight low tonight with about a 50-50 chance of rain. Wednesday, slight chance of rain in the morning. I wouldn't bet on it, just fairly cloudy and a high of about 53 or so. And then here comes the rain Wednesday night into Thursday. You're going to wake up Thursday morning with quite a bit of rain. It's going to rain pretty much all day Thursday. It tapers off Thursday night. A little bit of wet stuff possible on Friday. The snow level on Sunday night into Monday is going to go all the way down to 1,900 feet. 1,900 feet, so some significant snow in the mountain passes. We could even see the foothills around the valley get dusted with the white stuff. We wake up on Monday morning. That's it for us. Have yourself a great election day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.